And welcome, everybody, to this SpiffyNeedleGeeks next Let's Play, done by yours truly, Brawl Fan 1 of Digimon World Dusk, the sequel to Digimon World DS. And with me today, I have RoushutsuRises and Supersonic 407.
Yay!
And playing as our resident Digimon tamer is Spiffo.
Now, if I recall correctly, there's two different versions of this game. Like Dawn and Dusk, was it?
Yes, Dawn and Dusk.
So why this one?
I'll get into more about that as I go along, but first, real quickly, let's go over our starting team. So, in Digimon World Dawn, if you guys may recall, our first Digimon was simply one Digimon. Here in this game, you have a chance to start off with 4 different packs. A balanced pack, an attacking pack, a pretty pack, and I completely forgot what the last pack was. Whatever. I'm starting off with the balanced pack, which consists of Lunamon, a rookie level Digimon, Mach Galgamon, an ultimate level Digimon, and Clockmon, a champion level Digimon. So as you can see, our starters have a bit more power than we're used to.
Yeah, right.
So
and we're going with the crazy nicknames.
Yep. So we have Kaguya, the return of Furry Mac, and Wizard. But yes, so Digimon World Dawn and Digimon World Dusk. The first of, as far as I'm aware anyway, the first of the version exclusives of for the Digimon games. Pokemon Sun and Moon before Pokemon Sun and Moon, effectively. The plots of these games are just like Pokemon. They're pretty interwoven. There are some minute differences, some in plot, but really the biggest differences are just, what characters are around you. So we have a large group of friends here, and we have our chief up there with her partner Digimon Chaos Gallantmon. We are effectively a part of a union called the Tamer Union, and we are a part of the team known as Nightcrow. If you were playing Dawn version, you'd be a part of the team Light Fang. Now, the biggest difference between these two teams are really just cosmetic, honestly. The two sides kind of specialize in 4 of the 8 different types of Digimon. Overall, Light Fang, for Dawn version, they specialize in Holy Digimon, Dragon Digimon, Aquan Digimon, and Bird Digimon, whereas Nightcrow specializes in the remaining 4 Dark Digimon, Beast Digimon, Machine Digimon, and Insect Plant Digimon. Those are the big difference, effectively. Now, I will say, the big reason why I'm playing Dusk as opposed to Dawn, because even though Dawn actually was the first version that I picked up, Dusk, personally, from my experience, seems to have the superior content. And I'm not saying that in terms of an opinion. This whole scene that we're going through right now, where we have all the tamers here in a place called Thriller Ruins training for this tournament, this entire scene is only in Dusk.
So, did they come out at the same time, or
yes, they did.
Okay, that makes no sense. I can understand if, you had one version come out, but then you get the updated version. I mean, Pokemon does this all the time. So with the updated version, you get, new content or different content and everything. I get that. Entire scenes and shit. But it's like, really? It's like, you get something like that drastically different with 2 games released at the same time. That's, I don't know, I guess maybe, I guess I'm just used to the whole Pokemon thing where it's like, yeah, there's 2 different versions, but at the end of the day, the biggest difference is which Pokemon are in which volume. I mean, that's really the difference anyone really gives a shit about.
And there is that here as well. There are some Digimon that are exclusive between the 2 versions, as well as entire areas that are exclusive between the 2 versions. And I'll get more into that later. But there is actually a reason why this whole scene going on here is in this version and not in Dawn. And I understand what they were trying to do, but they didn't really do it well, because immediately after the scene is where we go to is when we start the tournament between the 2 factions that was mentioned by previous Chief Julia before. The thing is, when you're playing this version, you immediately skip to the final round. When you're playing as Dawn, there's a few more rounds before that. And that's kind of their excuse to try to explain what's going on, trying to give this whole idea that, it's not just, the same story told multiple sides, but instead, two separate stories happening separate times, except that gets thrown completely out the window after this opening scene. Because literally right after this scene, and right after the tournament, that's where everything just goes into same territory. Where everything is exactly the same between the two versions, it's just color swapped.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, it seemed like they were trying to do, two different sides of the game, which, like what Fire Emblem Fates did. But, they only did it for this for literally this first introduction. And then after that, it's, you may as well it's just a cosmetic after that. I don't know why they did that.
Yeah. Because, it's like, again, if you compare this to Pokemon and everything, it's like, yeah, Pokemon games, they always come out with the two different versions and shit, but it's like, really, at the end of the day, what really matters, if anything, between the two versions is just, which Pokemon are in which version, and, which Pokemon do you want for your team, and that's really going to be what determines which one you're going to get, starting out with and stuff. But it's like, otherwise, it's like the stories and everything, they play out beat for beat. That's where it's like, I don't know, this is just me, but it's like, I just pick one Pokemon game a generation, and I just stick with that one. I don't see a reason to get both games, so it's like,
right.
if they had done something kind of like what they're trying to do here, where it's like, okay, yeah, have the different, have your different Pokemon, between the different versions. But if you had different segments of the stories in between, and it's like, okay, you want the complete story, now you have justification to get both games.
Right. Well, that said, this game, in terms of its, because we're kind of talking about its presentation overall between the two versions, but in presentation overall as a game, it is near identical to Digimon World DS. If you're expecting updated graphics or anything like that, you're gonna be disappointed. It's just like it's just like its sequel or its prequel.
And I ask again, if this is a DS game, why? Again, it's like, why the toned down graphics and everything? It's like, I can forget. It's like, I suppose maybe it's for continuity or something, but it's like at the same time, it's like,
well, not even, because
but it's like, why
this may be a sequel, but true to Digimon lore, it takes place in a completely different dimension. That, aside from all that, though, presentation aside, this game is definitely still the upgraded version of Digimon World DS, and I'm talking gameplay-wise. We kind of ignored all the previous battles that we just saw because I kind of blew through all them with my super powerful, awesome Digimon. But there is definitely a lot of gameplay mechanics in terms of battle system, in terms of the Digivolution, and just in terms of how pretty much how everything works. Like, mechanically, it's very similar, but there is a lot of really, a lot of changes that honestly are for the better. And these are changes that will continue to evolve among later Digimon games, only for them to improve more and more as it continues. So, I guess some big explanations first off, in terms of the battle mechanics. One thing you probably would have noticed immediately during those battles is that all Digimon now have a finite amount of their power points, or MP in this game as they're called, magic points, I guess. And why I say that is because in Digimon World DS, obviously every attack, would cost a certain amount of magic points, but there was always one attack that they had that wouldn't cost anything, that was always free to use. In this game, that free attack is now gone. Every attack always costs something, meaning that if your Digimon runs out of MP, or, no longer has the MP to use for its attacks, unless you can heal their MP, they're effectively, sitting ducks. But this does also lead to why a part of the mechanics is also a little better, because a big change that they did between here and DS as well is that when Digimon Digivolve, they retain the attacks that they had from their previous evolutions, with the exception of their primary attack, which all Digimon have at least one of those. But because of that, it's much easier to be able to mix and mash what Digimon can have certain attacks, and you can have such a wider variety of more powerful attacks. And this also does encourage you to actually, because remember, in Digimon World DS, when in terms of the Digivolution trees, you can Digivolve Digimon into multiple Digimon, except majority of the time there's always one specific Digimon that you normally would prefer to do, because that was just by far the best default Digimon. Here, on the other hand, that's not the case. Every Digimon is fair game. And I'm not just talking about the Megas. Every Digimon is fair game here. Every Digimon can actually become very, very powerful, just based on how the Digivolution is set up. So because of that, it's like, Digimon can have a wide variety of attacks that they just learn throughout all their evolutions. And just in general, Digivolution and degeneration is highly encouraged to be done a lot whenever you can in this game. Because, unlike Digimon World DS, whenever you Digivolve, specifically whenever you degenerate, you lose some power, but but you also have some access power that remains. Meaning that, if let's say Agumon Digivolves into Greymon, but then degenerates back to Agumon, the current Agumon is now stronger than he was before than previous Agumon. It'll be a little easier to explain come later on. Like, we won't really get a good example of that here. I will also say, though, another big difference as well is that every time a Digimon digivolves or degenerates, no matter what, their level automatically reduces back to level 1. No matter what. Whenever they change a form, they always go back to level 1. Now, because of this, whenever they do Digivolve, they don't really gain much of a power boost. The power boost comes from the huge level increase you're going to get after winning any battle. Because they've been reduced back to level 1, winning any battle means they're automatically going to be leveling up a lot. And that's where their power boost comes from. And the same can be said for degeneration. Because when they degenerate, of course they'll be reduced back to level 1, but they're still going to gain a huge power boost. Meaning that more than likely, even if you degenerate a champion to a rookie, after the power boost it's going to get from, the huge level increase it's going to get from being reduced back to level 1, more than likely its stats are going to be that equivalent of the champion form. Meaning once it changes back to the champion form, it's going to be even more powerful than it was before. And that also said, because of that system, it is very possible to actually max out your Digimon stats, getting every stat of your Digimon all the way up to 999. And that does, like I said before, that doesn't just go for Megas, that also goes for, any form of Digimon. You can have a you can have a Koromon with the same stats any Mega if you wanted. So long as you're willing to put the effort into training it.
Oh, wow.
Any which case, I'll explain more about the gameplay aside. As to what's actually going on in the story. So like I said, we just fought that character Ko that we just fought. He is the male equivalent. He'd be the guy. Now, here's also the weird thing about the two versions as well. When you're playing Dusk, Ko will always be your rival. It's not determined on what gender you pick. Because if I were to pick the boy, it wouldn't be the girl as my rival. No, it would always be Ko. Whereas if I was playing Dawn, the character, your rival, would always be the girl instead. In fact, it would literally be the girl that I'm playing as right now. And her official canonic name is actually Seo. So, kind of like what I did with Yokai Watch by naming Spiffy from Katie, here it's Spiffo from Seo. Because I'm original.
It still makes sense.
Like I said, everything is cosmetically changed between the two versions. Like, if I was playing Dawn version, Chief Glare and Afanimon there would be my leaders, as opposed to, me playing Dusk, so my leaders are Chief Julia and Chaos Galamon. And ooh, spooky ominous. You, shady character! Settle down! What's he doing? He looks like he's just standing there.
Okay.
Oh, God.
No, he really does, doesn't he?
Oh, my God.
Oh, well. So, like I also explained before, that whole scene that we were at before with the ruins is absent from Dawn. But because of that, you saw here in the tournament, I only did one battle against Ko. If I was playing Dawn version, the beginning of the game would start off with this tournament, but your character there would have to go through a few more battles in the tournament, and then fight Seo at the end. So that's really that's the big difference. So that's really the only major plot difference between the two games. So, because pretty much from this point on, everything's identical. Aside from everything looking different cosmetically, as well as some dialogue changes depending on the characters that are talking. Like these two characters that are next to me, I do not remember their names at all because they have really ridiculous names. But of course, there are two characters that are equivalents to them in Dawn, but their personalities are very different. Like these two characters are very pompous and snotty, whereas I think the characters in Dawn are just are a little more headstrong, if I recall correctly. That's really about it, though. Like, yeah, there are some changes in dialogue, just depending on the personality of the characters. That said, they can get a little lazy, and there could also be some characters that are literally identical in personality, so the dialogue doesn't change at all. Now, what's also interesting is, between Julia and Glare, and then as well as Alphanimon and Chaos Galamon, they're kind of reversed roles. Because with Dusk, we have Chief Julia and her partner Chaos Galamon. Julia kind of being the tender leader, while Chaos Galamon being the more, being the stern leader. That's kind of reversed in terms of partners for Dawn. Whereas Afanimon is the caring one, and, and Glare is the stern one. And that's really about it. So there might be some dialogue changes that get flipped between them, depending on your version. But like I said, it's all cosmetic. You're not playing this game for the story whatsoever. You're playing it for the gameplay. You're playing it to raise the Digimon, which also just in general has been greatly improved from Digimon World Dawn. Digimon World DS.
DS.
But of course, we'll see more of that later on. And here's the Motley Crew.
Just out of curiosity, what kind of hat is Spiffo wearing?
I think it's some kind of bandana, actually, because we do see, later renders of her. Let me see. I'm pretty sure it's some kind of bandana.
Yeah, that's where I'm like, is it a bandana? Is it just a hat with ears? Or is it supposed to resemble a Digimon? I mean, it's kind of hard to tell. But I'm just really curious. I'm just curious as to just, what the hell is that on our head?
Let me see. Like, here are some actual renders of her. Hold on, I'll send them to you over the Discord. It actually might just be some kind of beanie. Like here.
Okay, so it just looks like a hat with goggles or something.
She's wearing goggles. But
okay. That's, again, it was like, with the game render and everything, that's where I was like, it looks like eyes, but it's like, is that supposed to be like, you're wearing like something that's modeled after a Digimon? Because I mean, it's like, they make hats and shit that you can get at like conventions that look like, characters and such. So it's like,
that's true.
Is that what she's wearing, or?
It's funny you should mention that, because for a while, looking at her hat, like at this angle of the overworld or whatever, for some reason I kind of thought it was like a hat that was based off of Impmon.
I wouldn't be
That'd
surprised.
that'd be pretty fucking badass, though.
Anyway, speaking of imps, this is Phascomon. Remember Kalumon? Well, here's our game's new Kalumon.
The koala.
Yes.
Mon.
So in Digimon World DS, remember that our Digifarm was kind of relegated to just one spot that you walk to, and then you instantly go to the farm. Here, as a part of the Tamer Union, every Tamer gets like their own, little living area, like apartment living area. This is our Tamer home. This is where the Tamer actually lives. Like they actually get their own, they actually get a bed and shit to sleep in.
Oh wow!
This is also
a bed with no walls.
No,
and
well,
apparently above the ocean.
Yeah, this curtain. Well, hey, this is a pretty badass looking living area, though. I'd love to live in an area like this.
It's like someone played a little too much Minecraft. Because this is such a Minecraft house.
Well, this is
I would not
digital
mind
world,
a nice change of pace when I'm sleeping in a bedroom with no walls, but I get a nice ocean breeze.
In which case, our Digi home is definitely the place that because you're going to the Digi home a lot, because that's where you go to access your Digi farm. Once we get access to it, that's where you go to to get new Digimon whenever you need to convert them, because it's just like how it was in DS. In order to get new Digimon, you got to encounter enough of them to get their data and then convert them. So that's all the same. But another interesting thing that I actually don't like that they changed, in terms of healing your Digimon, because remember in Digimon World DS, whenever you wanted to heal a Digimon, all you had to do was just go back to the main to the main hub, and then just simply walking in that area, your Digimon automatically get healed. In this case, that doesn't happen. Just walking around this city here doesn't heal your Digimon. You have to go back to your Digi home if you want them automatically healed. And it is a little out of the way, so that kind of sucks. However, mechanically, I understand why they did that. I feel like it could have been an easy fix, but I'll explain why they did that once we get to that reason at the end of the game. So
basically, our home is basically like, Poke Center.
Yeah, except all you have to do is step inside of it and you automatically get healed. So.
Okay.
Anyway, what's this going on? An alarm's going off. I'm sure it's just a drill.
Probably just another drill.
It never went off before. It could just be nothing. Or it could be a
Remember
spell.
that last drill we had?
It could be just a test. And a glowy skull.
That's fine. We got Ghoulmon and Shrubimon here. They're 2 mega level Digimon. They can take it, right? Right?
No.
Uh-oh.
They've been digiverted to eggs.
They've been turned into Digitama, and the Tamers were knocked out.
So they just got their asses kicked by Ghastly.
Ghastly. This is a lower than Ghastly. It's an electric type.
That actually sounds pretty badass.
Yeah, it does actually.
I'm not gonna lie.
This firewall can't be penetrated? Yeah, fuck you. And it's affecting everyone.
Oh no. This digital world has been hit by a virus.
Turning everyone into Digitama. And it even penetrated the super secure firewall of our Digihomes. While we weren't nearly as badly affected, it did still hit us. Meaning that our super awesome powerful Digimon that we had have all now been reverted back to rookie form.
What's this guy's excuse for not being reverted?
Well, I'm not actually sure what form Phascomon is. That also said, it's still a good point you say that, because if you're playing Dawn version, your Phascomon is actually Gatomon, who is a champion Digimon, but Gatomon's perfectly fine, so I don't know. But yeah, that's effectively what happens in this. Why you get started off with super powerful Digimon, because they all get inflicted with a virus and they get reverted back to their rookie. So now Makagomon is now his Gaomon, and Clockmon has been turned into Solarmon. Lunamon's fine because Lunamon was already a rookie, so it's all good. That also said, Lunamon becomes your strongest party member, so be careful how you handle her. There's something else I actually kind of forgot to mention as well. During that tournament, if at any point Lunamon gets knocked out, Lunamon loses friendship points with you. And she'll lose just enough friendship points with you to the point where she'll start ignoring your orders. So you need to be careful to make sure that either Lunamon, or if you're playing Dawn version, Coronamon, don't get knocked out during that tournament. Otherwise, this next part could be pretty tedious. But we'll see that up and coming pretty soon. Next time, folks. So we'll see you then.